Matt, only because we do grind it down to the granular here at the Voice of College Football. Is there anything concerning this team from a personnel standpoint that anybody should be watching out for the last few games of the season that could mean anything toward 2022 that you find intriguing or important on either side of the ball?
I gotta say no, and I say no because the fact that Drake London's injured, it means that Jaxson Dart, the backup quarterback, who is the future of the program, who is the incumbent, he's going to be the number one in the QB room heading into the off season. The one really interesting thing was going to be watching him get some snaps in November and establish a rapport with Drake London, but now he doesn't have that. And you're going to see significant transfer portal activity at USC. There's been no clear-cut number 2 receiver to step up as kind of Drake London's sidekick. And let's remind ourselves, Brew McCoy was supposed to be that guy, but he ran into off-the-field troubles in the summer and missing the whole season, for his disciplinary and behavioral problems. So that's kind of looming in the background over the whole season. But anyway, with no other receiver clearly stepping up to be that number 2 guy, whoever becomes the new USC head coach, I would expect to really make a hard run at a new crop of receivers in the transfer portal, and there should be dramatic roster turnover surrounding Jaxson Dart. But the fact that Jaxson Dart doesn't have Drake London to throw to, that puts him in a negative position. It does not put him in a position to succeed. So, a week ago we were saying, hey, Jaxson Dart needs to play. He needs to get snaps. He needs to get experience. But now with Drake London injured, well, that calculus is different. Like, you don't want to throw him to the wolves without Drake London, without a number 1 receiver who makes life a lot easier for him. You don't want to put a young quarterback who, by the way, is not 100% healthy. Dart played reasonably well in the snaps he had against Arizona, but he's not fully mobile. And he's a dual threat quarterback when he's fully fit and healthy. He's not willing to run the way he did against Washington State before the injury that he suffered in that game back in September. So if you're USC, you really don't want to jeopardize Jaxson Dart's health, and not having Drake London, that's putting him in a much more difficult position. So the calculus has changed here, and I think that if you're USC, you probably just give the ball to Keaton Slovis, and you try to emphasize the running game with Keontae Ingram, the transfer from Texas, who rushed for over 200 yards against Arizona, could have rushed for over 300. He had 2 very long runs called back by penalty. So I think the idea that of giving Jaxson Dart snaps, it's really less smart play at this point for Dante Williams and the USC staff, because you just don't want to risk his health, and you don't want to put him in a position where he's set up to fail. So that's what the Drake London injury really means, and it takes a lot of the starch out of the remainder of the USC season. And it's just everything has pointed in the wrong direction. It's been a Murphy's Law kind of year in Los Angeles.